wanted to make films with sort of my own way. So I went to university first and I studied film and also media, and then I did my master's in word cinema. So I did a very sort of academic initial approach to filmmaking. So I learned, how to frame, how to analyze the framing, how to analyze the narrative, body language of the actors. So I learned a lot of sort of non-practical skills. It was quite academic. And initially, I thought of being only a scriptwriter. So I sort of was very heavy, and I wrote my dissertation. It was a script. I got a very high grade, so I knew I can write. I was very confident about my writing, but I had no idea about practical filmmaking, and I didn't really sort of cross my mind to be a director. But then there was like a competition at Barbican in London, and it was a Polish film festival, and the competition was to make a short film based on Roman Polanski films. So because I really like him, I decided to do a short film called A Boy and His Wardrobe, and it was based on Polanski's student films about two men and a wardrobe. And I got into top 5. I was very surprised to get into top 5, but then I thought, oh wow, I can maybe make films, because this film was very basic. I literally bought like a bag of sand, raw fish, and I had a wardrobe and a boy. So so this way sort of my film journey started, and I did another short with like more actors, and I had a camera person, because the first one I filmed myself, and then I did another short, and then I did a feature film, which was a massive jump into very deep waters, but it taught me a lot. So and then I did like an art project, so I kind of evolved, and I step by step learned more things, but I learned all the practical filmmaking while doing films. So I didn't actually go to any school or to make films. And to be honest, every director is different, and you have a very different approach to filmmaking, and it doesn't really matter what approach you have, because the main thing is to do a good film. But I think my academic sort of background helped me a lot, and it developed my style in a way, because I approached it from sort of very analytical way, and the practical skills I sort of learned while doing it. And this way also, it seems I didn't learn all the rules, so I kind of applied my own rules in a way. So Dreaming Diary is an art project initially that is built or sort of structured. There's 7 short films, each describing a different dream. All the dreams are nightmares. Nightmares that, very generic, sort of stereotypical nightmares, like losing your teeth, running away from someone. So I've done 7 short films that should be exhibited in a museum space. But because they are films, what I've done, I separated them in volumes depending on topicality. And this one, the one that I'm describing now, is volume 1. It's 3 short films put together, describing different nightmares, different dreams, in a very surrealistic sort of way. So my favorite filmmakers, last names all finish on ski, which is the Żuławski, Polański and Kieślowski, all Polish filmmakers. All of them were massive influence on my filmmaking, purely because they not only made films in Poland, they also made films in all over the world. So Polański, sort of international filmmaker, made films in US and France. Żuławski and Kieślowski made films in France. And I think what I adapted from their filmmaking is this kind of loss on specific identity. The films are quite international, we would say. They are not primarily attached to a country. The narratives are sort of very global and have this kind of international appeal where I think it's hard to pin them down to one country. And I think that's sort of my type of filmmaking that I adapted from them. I also like other directors, but I think these 3 sort of had the most influence on my filmmaking in terms of visuality, in terms of sort of a very human type of approach, where you really talk about the depth of the characters and the feelings, and all sort of coated in a very beautiful visuals and sort of very specific aesthetics. And all of them standing, I mean, Polański still alive, Żuławski and Kieślowski are dead, but all of them sort of stood to their own type of filmmaking. They were not really influenced by anyone, and yeah, I would like to, I mean, not influence in terms that they copied someone, influence possibly, because it's very hard to come up with new way of filmmaking. I mean, most of the filmmakers pay homage to another filmmakers or painters or art world or literature as well. So if I were given a good budget, my ideal project would be a feature film, obviously. Feature films are quite expensive. Even the cheapest feature films, which are the micro budgets, are still sort of running in millions, and making a feature film is very expensive because you need an army of people. You need lots of people to make a film. You need to pay for locations, for actors, and I think although it's very important that initially you have the artistic idea or you have the sort of original way of seeing or making films. Unfortunately, films need money, and if I had a big budget, yes, I would make this splendid film with beautiful costumes and stunning locations, and yes, I would pay everyone as well. So that would be, yes, my idea. My productions are mostly on schedule. I am very much, I have a massive fear of being not on schedule, because if you're not on schedule, that could cost you extra. And we're working as filmmakers, probably everyone understand that we're working on a very tight budgets. What I'm trying to do with my project is to prep them. I noticed that prepping the actors, having rehearsals, regardless if they are online rehearsals or if they are rehearsals in live, which would much more obviously beneficial. It's very important to prep, because then if you go on a set, most of the people know what they have to do, and even if you have some surprises, which you always have some surprises, they are easy to fix. The filmmaking is very hard to always stick to schedules, because filmmaking is like a chain reaction. You have this army of people, as I said, and it's a chain reaction of if one person forgets something, if they are late, something happens, then everyone else is waiting. So it's very important to prep and sort of have overall control over things. Also, as a director, I mean, because it's hard to delegate as well. Very often directors are co-producers. I co-produce my projects, and this way I'm trying always to have the logical side sort of inside, and have some sort of knowledge of what's going on, where everyone is, what time we're starting, if it's gonna rain today, are we filming outside, inside, all those basics. Obviously you need also people to schedule and plan with you, but all those basics are really important for the schedule to run on time. Although for my project, The Dreaming Diary, I was slightly softer with approach in terms of sort of narrative and so on, but in terms of like feature films and films, it's important to be quite rigid almost when it comes to planning. Sadly, yeah. So even if people always think, oh, creative, it's very creative media. I mean, medium is very creative. You have to sort of, think outside, the box. You still need this logical, the logistics almost to be run quite rigidly in terms, so you can be on schedule. I was trying to prepare for this question because The Dreaming Diary, in particular, was quite easy to make as opposed to other projects that I had. I think it was easier because I treated it as an art project at the beginning, and this way I had this kind of very artistic and easygoing approach, and I didn't stick to too many rules in terms of narrative. So the production itself was very, the logistics was very sort of disciplined, and everyone had to be on time and so on and so on. But in terms of sort of narrative, I was quiet. Because it's about dreams and about subconscious, I was trying my instinct sort of to lead me instead of being like, too rigid with this scene and the other scene. So I was kind of filming more footage. I was letting the actors to be slightly more loose, And also I sometimes even use the footage that we filmed after I said cut, and people didn't think that I'm still filming. But that was because the project is about dreams, it's about nightmares, and you know, it's quite, I use some experimental shots, and the structure is quite surrealistic, so I could kind of be open with that. I think the hardest thing for me in regards to this project was the editing process. And it was because I had very specific ideas in my head how it's supposed to look like. And I noticed that I used for each sequence of the dreams, I used different editor. And I noticed that sometimes the editor saw it in a different way, or they wanted to make a scene, a kind of shot last shorter, you know, or longer. And I had this specific rhythm that I was really strict about, and sometimes I had to kind of push in terms of how I wanted, and I could see that the editor was kind of unsure and thinking, why does she want this, you know, this shot to be so long? Why, you know, she's running across the screen and it's kind of slow-mo. And then I said, no, it needs to be even slower, and they were sort of, you know, quite sort of baffled. And yeah, it was, I think that was quite challenging. But then once it was editing, they kind of got it. Oh, okay, that's what she wanted, and yeah, it does make sense now. So sometimes I had to convince them as well. So I'm in a pre-production of 2 feature films that I wrote and I will direct. One, Ultra Pure, is a feature film that we started to develop a long time ago. It was few years ago. It was before COVID, and then it stopped because of the COVID, and we did lots of work, you know, like set design and everything, and it just didn't work out. So I picked it up now, and I started kind of from the scratch, and I changed a lot in terms of location, set design, and I noticed that it was good that I waited. So we picked this up now, and I'm also in development of my other feature film, Warm, which is German, French and UK co-production, and we are in sort of stage of casting and choosing locations, and you know, getting sort of producers and funding, which is obviously the hardest thing on board. And this is my sort of 2 babies now, 2 films that I'm developing. And yeah, so I think that I can film both of them kind of at the same time. I mean, not at the same time in terms of filming, but I'm trying to you know, be in a pre-production and kind of film them within sort of kind of the same time, you know. So yeah, so I have 2 films that I'm going to have sort of finished, completed, hopefully by next year. So that's my 2 projects. And in the meantime, with the Dreaming Diary that is completed now, I'm trying to get it to film festivals and also to galleries and museums.